cows, right? Jadi pakai lagu-lagu, didendang, dimain, jadi sapi-sapi itu rasa lebih nyaman, lebih tenang, lebih damai itu. So and the beef, right? Like classical music, for instance, the plants will be growing healthier. Now, in the Muslim world, how about testing it with Quranic verses, recitation of Quran, right? How about if we recite Quran, whatever, right? Have we tested that? We haven't tested that. Maybe it will produce some other special effect on the chickens, on the cows, on the paddy fields, right? It might taste better, right? By the way, using music that has been tested, but we have not tested using, other means, using, and by the way, the Quranic verses, right, have a certain rhythm to it, has a certain melody to it that brings a certain level of peacefulness, level of the serenity, lebih damai, ayam tenteram gitu kan. Ayam is not ayam, ayam is damai gitu kan. Bahasa Jawa gitu. So how about doing that, right? How about introducing that kind of responsibility? Now, what we have, if we go to the next, this is about product, right? This is about product. Can we go to the next one? Now, responsible product pricing. This is also product, right? Now we talk. Just now we were having a seminar before this, and early morning we were talking about harga bensin, harga minyak. Kalau di sini, the oil. How can we make companies more responsible in the product pricing, right? How do we do that, right? Do we let companies define the prices so that they get a lot of benefit and the rest do not get a lot of benefit? And what is the responsibility of big oil companies, right? When the times are tough during the pandemic, right? How these big companies who have benefited from selling oil and energy to us, how are they returning back the favor? Right? Shall we define that? That is part of their responsibility of putting in, prices, the right prices for the products that they sell. So, the example in Malaysia, right, in the context of, I think you all know this Petronas Twin Towers. So, one of the things that in this one you might know, might not know, Petronas has its own orchestra, Philharmonic Orchestra, right? Philharmonic Orchestra. Why does Petronas have Philharmonic Orchestra? Because it's being felt that in a city like KL, Kuala Lumpur, in big cities, right, in established cities, usually metropolitan cities, there must be some appreciation of music, right? And orchestra, Philharmonic Orchestra, is a sign of a high civilization, so to say. And to do that requires a lot of money. And a lot of companies do not have that kind of money, right? And Petronas has that money. So if you look at the Philharmonic Orchestra, the Petronas Philharmonic Orchestra, you need millions of ringgit or dollars rather to sponsor that level of the payment, the salary to the musicians and the structure and all that. So if you ask the question, if you're a big company, then your responsibility should be bigger, right? If you're a small company, then your responsibility might not be as big, but you are still responsible to your environment, to the people, to your employees, right? So, but here it's about product, right? So we'll go to the other type of responsibilities. Let's go to the next one. Environmental responsibility. It is an example of a pesantren, Islamic boarding school, right? Movement that takes Islamic perspective on nature conservation. And in this pesantren, eco pesantren, they have adopted the idea of being environmental friendly. So they have created a space to nurture environmental consciousness, and they have products they have that is coming from that environment that is friendly to the ecology, right? So that is having that environmental responsibility as part of the Khalifah stewardship. You are taking care of the environment. let's bring it to the some level of discussion that's higher level. The problem with we have not there again. It's okay. It's okay. You maintain that. Collective green purchasing power of economic players. One of the challenges of environment is that we want green products, but companies cannot produce green product because there's no green buyers. I remember we worked. It's like more than 10 years ago, right? We wanted to buy papers from recycled papers, right? And we talked to people who wanted to sell recycled papers. They said it's problematic to us. We produce recycled papers, but there are no buyers because the cost of recycled papers is high. Because there's not too many buyers, right? So it's a problem of a manufacturer cannot bear the cost because there are no buyers. The buyers cannot buy it because the price is too high. Right? So how do you solve the problem, right? Now this is where we talk about the collective green purchasing power of economic players. This is where, in the level of a country, we have the government-linked corporations, or in Indonesia, you have the term BUMN, Badan Usaha Milik Negara, kan? Badan Usaha Milik Negara. Ada Indonesian here? Ustaz Ali there. Yeah, BUMN is like government-linked corporations. Imagine now, let's move to the next one. Imagine now, let's go next one. The collective green purchasing power of economic players. These are all the GLCs in Indonesia. If they come together and they say, look, this year we will purchase 10% of all our papers, 10% of all our papers will be from recycled papers. And suddenly there's demand for recycled papers, right? If the government were to do that, suddenly there's demand. When there's demand, then there's supply. Then the supply says that I can, right? So the shift must happen with a collective force, right? And by the way, this is implemented in some countries. My research in Sweden, I remember, they have this idea of fair trade. Fair trade is a label in CSR where any product that is sold in a price that's fair, and it is not exploitative to the producers or the consumers, right? For instance, Starbucks coffee, is it cheap or not cheap? No. Not cheap, right? Now, Starbucks had a problem before with the coffee planters. Now, coffee planters are said to be exploited by Starbucks because they buy the coffee at a very low price. They sell to us at a cutthroat price, and we buy it. We Malaysians who want to have that level of sophistication drinking, right? Including myself, right? But the fair trade label says you cannot extract raw materials at an exploitative price. By the way, exploitative price is not an Islamic concept. You cannot exploit people at an exorbitant level of exploitation. You cannot buy at a cheap, low price and sell at a high price. That is not Islamic, right? So there are towns, right, small towns in Sweden that come up with a policy that all their products must have 10% label of fair trade label. So the whole town will have to buy 10%. So they start with 10%, right? So there's market for products that are ethical. Now that can be done with big companies. Right? Sometimes it's hard for small companies to do. Who else can do this? Government can do this. Government can do this, right? Let's go to the next one. This is where I want to promote. And I said the ultimate Khalifah strategy in global institutional building is to synergize together, to Nusantarize and to universalize. Sinergi bersama menusantara mendunia. And I argue that Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei, for instance, come together. And the strength of it, right, will be amazing. right? We can turn any market in this world, right? Because of combined power of more than 300 million people, with the resources we have, with the financial might, with the technology we have, and we can synergize. And because when we synergize, the idea is because none of us is stronger than all of us, and we can be the savior and the superhero to save this our environment, humanity, and destiny. So, and I say, tak kala raksasa Nusantara mengembangkan sayapnya, nescaya tergoncanglah dunia ini. That is the challenge, to come together and to synergize together, and that is to bring the Islamic leadership. And we are not talking about the ISIS Khilafah. We are talking about saving the environment. Buying 10% and then 15% and then 20% of recycled paper, for instance. And we can start with other things like that, right? The Muslim countries can come together, right? Because we believe in saving humanity, saving the environment. And that's part of the Islamic leadership. That's part of responsibility, right? Islamic responsibility. So this is, I'm taking it to a high level of leadership now, right? Yang lebih mendunia, the globalizing leadership. Okay. Let me bring you back to Surabaya. Back. Can we go to the next slide? There. I think you might recognize some of the people here. That is me. I think 15 years ago. Good Lord, 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yes, right. 2007 there, right? Never mind. Okay. And that is Pak Yudi there, down there, right? Pak Yudi is your rector right now. It's Dr. Yudi, right? That's where when I first arrived in Surabaya, Pak Yudi, who is the one who brought me around Surabaya to help me to do to meet different people, different universities, different institutions. And one of the institutions in Surabaya that I met, that I went to visit and I went to interview, was
JTV.
JTV, right?
Jawa Post and JTV, yeah.
Betul. Jawa Post. And that, I think you recognize that, right? That's Azrul Ananda, the son of Ahmad Dahlan Iskan, Pak Dahlan Iskan.
Dahlan Iskan.
Who is the minister of BUMN, right?
BUMN.
It's like a minister who is in charge of government-linked corporations in Indonesia, right? Then I tell you about this, right? This is the first local Indonesian TV channel, right? First local Indonesian, just like Kelantan TV or Kedah TV, something like that. Terengganu TV, right? We don't have that yet, right? This is JTV, which is Java TV, more or less, right? So they were telling me about how they were carrying out their CSR, right? They were, at that time, if I'm not mistaken, there was some gempa gitu, kalau nggak salah di Gunung Merapi di Jogja, they have some earthquake or eruption, volcanic eruptions. But then, okay, there is CSR. And then they brought me to the studio, in JTV, right? You can see that I'm at the studio. And they explained to me, they have this program called Pojok Pitu. Pojok Pitu ya Bu Lini ya?
Yeah, Pojok Pitu.
Now Pojok Pitu,
TV.
Pojok TV is where they would read the news in Bahasa Jawa Timur. Bahasa Jawa Timur. Right? This is JTV in Surabaya, which is Jawa, not Jawa Tengah, right? Jawa Timur. And lo and behold, when they imagine now, Kelantan or Kedah were to have their own TV channel, and actually we have Sarawak, Sabah, we have, right? That empowers the local, and at that time the Jawa Timur people, and give them that sense of ennoblement, the empowerment of their language is actually being appreciated. So there's this perception that Jawa Timur language is not as refined, not as high status as Jawa Tengah, because Jawa Tengah is closer to the Kraton, closer to the Sultan and all that. But when they have this TV channel that uses that local language, it empowers the people. And I said, well, that is CSR. When you use your product to help the community empower the community. That is Khalifah's community responsibility. And how are you empowering the community? That is Islamic leadership. How are you empowering the local community? How are you including the local community into your organization and making them more empowered? That is CSR. That is social responsibility, right? So this is a perspective. And by the way, at that time, Azro Ananda has a team. A team of Jawa Post is one of the high circulation newspaper in Indonesia. Right? And they have a team of young people like you all, interns. Right? They come and work. Not just interns, but then they come and work and then disperse, work and work, disperse. Young team. So they have all the social responsibility practices in that. Right? So it's amazing how they empower the community using Jawa Post as well as JTV. Right? So this is an example of Khalifah's community responsibility. As we go to the next one. The Khalifah workplace community responsibility. This is in Vietnam, by the way. I'm not sure. It's more or less the same year, 2007 as well. Right? So I've been invited to a company. This is the employer of the year. Right? This company, this Dr. Tree behind me is the owner of the company, CEO of the company. So this company is not a big company, right? But they practice superb CSR. Workplace, meaning they take care of the workplace, take care of the employees. How? They actually have a happiness manager. That manager is in charge of happiness in the company, right? And if you go to the company, you see little smiley face all over. Right? I said, what is this? He said, at first I tried to motivate people, and somebody were to say something, I'll give something, a smiley face. And I said, this is too slow. He empowers everyone. Anyone who does anything good to a fellow employee, they will get a smiley face. Right? So eventually, there's a reward and recognition system occurring in the society, in the company. And in this company, they have a bathroom for bathing. Not for adults only, but also for babies. I said, well, why are they, babies? Why baby? Well, they are family-friendly workplace. So the employees, the mothers can bring their babies to the workplace. I thought this is a powerful idea, You're creating a community in your workplace. And that is very engaging. So you want to, this is by the way the employer of the year. He won the award, right? And then they have this book. This book. I said, well, this book. And they said, this book, I will show this book to all my employees who just being recruited in the company. Buku ini dipaparkan, ditunjukkan, didedahkan kepada karyawan-karyawan baru gitu. What is this book about? So he said, this is a book he introduced to all the new employees. This is the reason why we are here. Remember the mission there? This is the reason why we are here. What's this book about? This is a book about all the people who they have helped. They have helped people with cataract operations, they are kind of a pharmaceutical company, by the way. They sell pharmaceutical products. So they help people with problems, with medical problems. But at the end, all this book is secret. Why is it secret? It is not for show. Now CSR, the general practice of CSR, you want to tell everyone, right? When you give a check to anyone, you call the press, you call the TV, and you want to show again. It's for show, right? And he said, no, this is not for show. This is real. This is who we are. We are here to help these people. And I thought, wow, this is such a powerful way to inculcate that ethical mission in people, right? They do not use CSR to promote, to advertise their company, but they use CSR, corporate social responsibility, to nurture, to inculcate, right, that sense of mission in people. we are here to help these people. I thought this is powerful. That give meaning to work, right? And by the way, he's a Vietnamese. He's a Vietnamese, right? And it's amazing. Even those who left his companies, right? We have at that time was they have a festival at that time. They came back because he would pay for the scholarship to go and learn, including the security guard as well, right? He has these linkages with all his former employees. So I thought this is powerful. This is amazing in a way. And he has this happiness manager was in. I said, what are we doing? This it's a spring festival kind of a festive at that time. I said, what are we doing? I said, I don't know. I just signed the check. So he trusts his happiness manager. So we were doing happy things together at that time. So it's a wonderful place where you make CSR a mission. Right? You make social responsibility a mission instead of something like this for show, right? So I thought this is a powerful way. So let's go to the next slide.
Prof. Rifani, I'm sorry. Can you catch up? You have about 10 minutes
10
left.
minutes, okay, I'll finish. I'll go like a flash,
Thank you.
the speed of light.
Thank you.
When I was I was studying my PhD at that time. I was in UK, in London. I remember there were investment companies that come over from Malaysia, right, to get fresh graduates to come and work. So in some universities, the companies look for students, students don't look for universities. And they have to compete with big companies, Malaysian investment company. I don't have to tell you which company. They are Malaysian investment companies. They're big here, but when you go to London, they are small. So they're saying that we cannot compete with the Goldman Sachs, the Citibanks, all these big, huge companies, right? But they say they use one strategy, and that's CSR. They say, look, we are not a big company. You don't expect big checks from us, but we trust our employees. You be given 1 month off, 1 month cuti off, bercuti 1 bulan, and you can choose, and we give you money to choose a community to help. We give you this money, the CSR money, right? You go and help a particular community. You have 1 month to do so, because we want people to be responsible, people who give back to society. So young people are idealistic, right? They like the idea of not just working for money. They like to give back for their own choice, right? So that becomes a powerful attraction. This is a different company, because this company trusts the employees and trusts the employees to help people of their own choice. So and they got people from Cambridge, from Oxford to sign up, and not just, of course, not just Malaysians.
Active trust.
Because of
Active trust is
activism trust. Yeah.
Tony Giddens talk about that.
Yeah, Anthony Giddens. Yeah.
Tony Giddens is a British sociologist.
Yes, yes. Who's the same university? Yeah?
Yes.
Who was my main
Active
university?
trust
Yes.
people. This is people work with the state welfare.
Yes, right.
Progress.
Yeah.
The relationship between companies and employees. Active trust. This may work. This is good bureaucracy, good law.
Yes.
Between them.
Yes. And so you establish a trust, right? The
Trust,
yeah.
yes.
And trust towards doing good. So let me jump to the last slide. Yeah, the last slide. Jump to Bulindi. I will go to the last slide, which is about halal and toiban. Remember, I told you the bonus thing, right? Okay, not the last slide. Go right before this. So the last pillar is about halal and toiban, right? And this is where the Nusantara success story is. Let's go to the next one. Halalan toiban. Halalan, the idea of halal and toib is halal is good, that is permissible, right? You can do it. Toib means good, wholesome. So it's not just chicken that you slaughter sembelih, but the way you treat the chicken, there's no injection, there's no all that. And this is where we can succeed, right? Not that one. You go to the next one. Go down. Okay, yeah. Indonesia has this green halal valley, right? 500 hectares of green halal valley. This will be the biggest in Southeast Asia, right? And by the way, this is an area that we succeed and we can succeed even further at a global level. I'll show you the proof. The next one. This is amazing what Indonesia is doing. Now, Islamic finance. This is where we are leading. Islamic tourism. Indonesia, Malaysia ranked number 1 in the world, right? Islamic finance. If you go to the next slide, I talk about this often. Let me finish off with this. I look at where Indonesia is and where Malaysia is. For instance, the Nusantara, right? The Nusantara. If you look, Islamic finance. Malaysia is up there together with Indonesia, number 6, right? Halal food, Malaysia, Indonesia. Muslim travel, Malaysia up there. Fashion, now, I'm not talking about the fashion in Citayam, right? I'm talking about fashion, you know about the Citayam fashion, JJ and Bonge, whatever. But not that. We are in the halalan toiban world. We are leaders, right? So this is the success story. So we must expand on the success story. We must maintain the success story, and this is our strength, right? And this is where other countries have to come and learn from us. So we got to define these areas of halalan toiban and become leaders of this halalan toiban. And it need not be a Muslim country, right? A lot of halal restaurants in Malaysia are not owned by Muslims, as I said, right? But they're halal, and that's where we must be going. So we can provide leadership in the space of halal and toib, not just halal but also toib. So when they say you want to have the best chicken, buy halalan toiban chicken. And by the way, in Islamic finance, and I've performed this many times, in Malaysia, the largest number of customers are non-Muslims. Meaning non-Muslims believe in the principle of Islamic finance. It has brought them benefits. And that's the purpose of Islam, to share the blessings with the humanity, not just Muslims, right? To the rest of humanity, to bring goodness to Muslims and non-Muslims, to environment. And that's what leadership is about, right? And it's been proven. Islamic finance in Malaysia has been taught for 8 years in a row, by the way, right? Has been the reference point for even big New York, London companies. Halal certification. China wants to use Malaysian halal certification in China. I wonder why, but then they trust maybe Malaysian halal more. So if you want to be the gold standard of things, so like I said, next time if you think you want the best chicken, halalan toiban chicken. You want the best cosmetic product, halalan toiban.
Include healthy also.
Include healthy.
Yes.
So that is the thing that you must maintain. Right?
For example, a slider sheep or chicken, we will go out the blood from the body.
The blood, yeah.
Go out this
Remove the
healthy,
blood, yeah, that's
to
right.
become healthy.
Healthy, and that should be in all our products, right? And that's the leadership you want, right? I will end the agenda, right? And if we can stop at the previous slide. Again, this is the example. No. Yeah, okay. Alright, I will. Kita unggul dalam gelanggang wisata Islam. Right? We are, we lead in the space of Islamic tourism, right? Okay, our agenda. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bu Lindi. Mohon maaf kalau lebih waktunya, ya. Mohon maaf.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Rifani. It's very interesting. Yeah, we know a lot from Nusantara stories from this forum. And I think now we are at the discussion sessions. I'm inviting questions from the audience. I think you can directly speak up. I think everyone is impressed.
Can also use bahasa. Silakan bahasa.
Ya,
Uh,
boleh pakai
yeah.
bahasa Indonesia, pakai bahasa Nusantara pun tak
Ya,
apa.
bahasa Indonesia. Kalau bahasa bahasa Jawa itu sitik-sitik gitu.
Yeah, I have to talk with you using kromo inggil ya.
Romo, nah, itu belum sampai makamnya belum gitu tinggi lagi. Uh,
Silakan, any questions? Ya, from the student, silakan. Pakai bahasa Indonesia pun tak apa.
ya,
Yuk.
apa?
Something?
Go ahead. Okay. Mutadi has a question over here. Can he?
I want to add something
Go ahead.
with my supervisor.
Oh, from Dr. Tiffany student?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ya, silakan, please.
Mutadi.
Okay. Thank you about this opportunity. Actually, this is lecture is